Spectrum Extra on Radio 1 FM 90. An extra hour of analysis and discussion on the topical issues of the week. Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you and welcome to this edition of Spectrum Extra, coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90. We are coming to you live also on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word listen live. Radio 1 is also live on the different radio listening apps. Tune in Afro Mobile, your TV channel, Radio Garden and Stream Afrique. You can also find us on DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897, and on StarTimes our audio channel is 97. This is the first Friday in the new year 2024, and we'll be focusing the debate around that. We'll be looking at the message by our president. The president did address the country, giving us a sense of direction where he wants the country to go. We know very well one of the things people are talking about is the state of the economy, and as the year came to an end, there was concern about the economy, but the government said the economy would remain resilient. And now President Yoweri Museveni says the major focus will be wealth creation through the parish development model, but he also highlights a number of other areas where Ugandans can focus to actually get out of poverty, including industry, services, and the ICT sector. In terms of job creation, he actually says the government is on track, and one of the areas is factories that we have. He says we have 8,617 factories, and in those factories, about 829,668 jobs have been created. He says one of the biggest challenges that needs to be addressed is corruption, and with that, he actually said the corrupt are in a minority. They are in positions of authority, and they use that to access public funds at the expense of many Ugandans. They actually said we should watch this space because action is going to be taken. The president emphasized the need to embrace regional integration because of the numerous advantages that come with it. We know very well before the year came to an end, we had Somalia joining the East African community. Prior to that, we had the DRC coming in, so the region is expanding, and the president says that is very good for countries like Uganda to actually sell their commodities, but also for strategic security reasons. And on the issues of security, the president vowed to deal with the ADF's threat. We know in 2023, ADF intensified attacks and plans to actually detonate bombs around Kampala, according to security reports. And the president says this remains a threat that they will deal with decisively. But away from that, there's been a lot of talk about how 2024 is likely to be hot and eventful in terms of politics, as numerous political parties and formations prepare for the 2026 general elections. We ended the year with that heightened debate on human rights, which was raised by the National Unity Platform Party. It remains a matter to be concluded, and hopefully it will show up in this particular year. And then we also saw the likelihood of forces of change working together with the National Unity Platform Party. Will this bear fruits? Will they actually push forward and work together ahead of the 2026 general elections? The major concern is whether these groups will actually have the freedom to organize and conduct their legitimate activities. The NRM has kicked off its plans. President Yoweri Museveni has cleared its internal election roadmap. The total number of NRM leaders expected to be elected are 4,864,000. Now, if all these are NRM leaders turn up to vote at the presidential poll, one would say they are enough to guarantee victory to the NRM presidential candidate. But the question is, where does this leave the opposition parties in terms of organizing to counter the NRM? I have a panel of three. Let me introduce the Hon Godfrey Kabbyanga, the State Minister in charge of National Guidance. He serves in the government of the Republic of Uganda. Good evening, Honorable. Happy New Year, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, listeners. Happy New Year, and I'm happy to be here again.
The Honorable Mukitale Biraahwa Stephen, economist, political scientist, immediate former Blissa County MP, proponent of national dialogue. Good evening, Happy New Year, and thank you very much for joining us, Honorable.
Good evening, Radio 1 viewers and listeners, fellow panelists. Happy New Year to you all.
Honorable Erias Lukwago, the Lord Mayor of Kampala, acting president in the Katonga faction of the FDC party, is our third guest. Good evening, Lord Mayor, and thank you very much for joining us. Happy New Year.
Must you add the Katonga faction? Like I'm the FDC president, please. Anyway, good evening, listeners. Good evening, panelists. I join the colleagues here in congratulating those who have made it, by the grace of God, those who have made it 2024. So it's a blessing.
Sadly, it's a reality that FDC got split in two groups in the year 2023, and we are wondering whether you will still stand firm going into 2024. It's actually one of the issues we would like to hear from you, because we have heard about issues of reconciliation, whether you are actually going to reconcile and speak with one voice, one Uganda, one people. Let's kick up this discussion by focusing on the speech by the president and the reality on the ground, and I'll begin with Honorable Stephen Mukitale Biraahwa. You listened to the president. You've been listening to him for quite some years. Some people were saying this speech was not fresh. Others were saying the president is on point. He has addressed the realities on the ground, but he also gives us a formula how we can deal with the numerous challenges that we are facing. Wealth creation. He wants us to deal with corruption. He also wants us to embrace regional integration. But above all, he wants us to be vigilant when it comes to security and the threats posed by the ADF.
First of all, before I get lost, Kenneth, in the president's speech and the details, let me say that we ended the year with the parliament, which had almost 4 months of lack of consensus, and I'm happy we are starting there with Speakers Conference, which among other things is expected to have the best practice, impartiality of speakers and listening to each other. So as an advocate of national dialogue, I hope this is a good beginning to check ourselves. Second, also,
do they have universal values?
In line with the president's speech, we ended the year with Somalia joining us. But immediately after the signature of Somalia, the president asked, "Why are you here?" "I'm not the chairman of the East African Summit." "Why are you here?" "Because I'm the most senior." But of course, we also played a role in Somalia. But the point I want to bring is that immediately after, we had a former Janjaweed boss, the girl from Sudan North, coming here. You know, we are in the era of the Wagners, we are in the era of arms trade, we are in the era of money laundering. Criminals have taken over states, and my worry was, after bringing in DRC and South Sudan, now Somalia, is Sudan the next member of the EAC? I'm saying this because when so many failed states, former fragile states, become members, as economists, we wanted the economic integration yesterday, want a bigger market yesterday, but we need to be very careful of some excesses of those who are taking advantage to use their military as mercenaries and make their own personal monies. So, now that we ended with again that bad scenario, and we have the big visitors coming in, starting with the speakers, we're expecting the NAM and the G77, I hope it will help us in terms of peer review, in terms of ranking ourselves with those members who are coming, so that we don't get lost as if Uganda is Uganda alone. We are Uganda, interdepending, would want to be independent and not dependent. I am bringing this because I don't want us to discuss our problems as if Uganda started today. The president gave a speech at the beginning of 2024, which is a census year. 2024 is census year. It is very important for planners, and we are aware already the projections we have, if we are confirmed somewhere below 50 million, by 2050, we are over 100 million. So whatever problems we are dealing with as a country, leaders don't look at today. Let us factor in what's going to happen in the next 20, because we are celebrating close to 28 years of UPE, but with a very big dropout rate. So they have the president met ghetto boys. These are the people who missed out. These are the dropouts. These are people who never went through government scholarships and these government programs. And they are here. I was at the airport the other day. The rate at which our people are going out is very scaring. Right. So I would really want to plead that as citizens, not just the president, the political class, we really have to work harder.
All right.
We have a very big challenge. Now, specifically to the president. The PDM is as good an intention as was the plan for medicinal agriculture, which had 7 pillars. We ended up with NADS, extension and advisory. So PDM, Minister of Guidance, is here. I used to be in Parliament saying, give guidance money. Now, PDM has already become 3rd pillar, giving money. I am not aware anywhere in the world you get rich by just giving money. There are areas which you need to do with the other pillars. I saw Frank Tumwebaze, minister, and I think Lukwago launching something to do with a fund for export, a fund for agriculture inputs. These were in cooperatives. The cooperatives had the UCCU. All inputs were provided for. It had agro machinery, it had marketing. All the pillars were provided for. So I would like to say, let us not, having had bad experiences with efforts like Entandikwa, Mioga, and all these others, it is important that we look at what failed the other programs, so that we can be sure this one, this time round, is going to work. More so, aware that even the land we talk, I'm from Bunyoro. Let me give you an example. I grew up in Bunyoro where there is Bunyoro growers. The ginaries were ours. We owned the land. There was Kinyara Sugar Works. We owned Kinyara Sugar Works. Right now, we don't own the seeds company. We don't own the Kinyara. We don't own the... Even the land has been taken. So and then we used to go to school. 98 kids in P1 and finished 95 in P7. Almost 0 dropout. So what miracle do you tell people today where they have lost their land, they have lost shares in what used to be their businesses, the business has gone to private to a few people who are privileged, middlemen took over. The money lenders are at the Paris level. PDM is not at the Paris, but money lenders at the Paris level, milking people up to 20% a month. What miracle are we promising citizens? I think we need to be more sincere and say that the problems which have been created to date are slightly more complicated. And also this promise, I hear this a lot of efforts in fighting for land. We are not going to have in the next 25 years, a lot of Ugandans will not have any piece of land. Can we prepare for an industrial revolution where we say, you guys, you're going to become carpenters, you're going to become plumbers, forget about your ancestral land. It will not be there anyway. So this lie of people being told everybody, where is everybody going to be rich? It's not possible. If Kabbyanga is a model farmer and can employ 500 people, that's how other people will live, by being workers of Kabbyanga. Now, the neighbors also will copy what we call demonstration effect from Honorable Kabbyanga's farm. And then the Kabbyangas with the Lord Mayor and Biraahwa, if we are 100, we form a specialized producer cooperative. You had a very good debate yesterday with the people you had here discussing those issues. So that's how we do it. All right. Now, unfortunately, they are going to declare Uganda a middle-income by the end of this year. And the reason, we are going to get another $8 billion investment in oil and gas, plus the original, to go to about 16, 17. And therefore, automatically, because of the direct foreign investment, Uganda will be declared a middle income, yet the citizens on ground will not have seen any improvement in terms of meals, in terms of health, in terms of water, in terms of electricity, let alone children going to school. That's why, for me, since my early days of economics at university, I am for the UNDP, what we call the Human Development Index, as opposed to the GDP.
Honorable Mukitale, staying with you, one of the threats to this economy is actually corruption, and the president talks about it here. And for the first time, the president talks about how those who have political power and are closer to the national cake are actually the ones who are the corrupt. But he says he's going to deal with them.
You see, you people, when I said my first time, when I used to be here before I went to Parliament in 2005, when I became a candidate, I was using the word nation building. When I went to Parliament, I started using the word national dialogue and local content.
I've also heard you using power retention.
Because I knew the economy was already under occupation by people working for foreign hands. I fought that battle in Parliament and lost it because all these people are working for foreign.
So will the president
who have been the money makers? Who have been the money makers in the last 30 years? Foreign banks, foreign insurance companies, foreign construction companies. So where do you expect, if all profit is being externalized to their principals, to their cities?
That's another aspect.
Where do you expect a miracle?
Let's look at the issue of corruption, which is closer to us.
Yes. Again, I'm a procurement person. I have told you until we go back to centralized high-value procurement, until we go back to common user centralized procurement, until we go for bulk purchases like we did with national medical stores, the procurement in Uganda is corruption itself. And if you check these contracts which have come, all these bad deals you hear in government, these big monies you're expending, there is no value for money. These contracts, there is already somebody for it who has his percentage. And me, my bitterness, I said here last time, I wish these corrupt guys who have been taking this 40% of government value, where having the Mukwano concept and enterprising and giving us factories and developing Kasese and Bulisa, at least every corrupt. Somebody made the other day when Mr. Katanga, may his soul rest in peace, he said, you don't need Teso to have the VP and the speaker to get rich. You need Katanga and their relatives, the relatives of the wife and the husband. If they all invested in one region, you would become rich. What does that? It speaks volume. It speaks volume that the resources supposed to go. Can we put the definition of corruption in simple terms? That as the schools are shrinking, as the health facilities are shrinking, as a child is committing suicide for being held at school for lack of school fees, the individual, what the president has called the political class, have money to invest outside, to do what they want. That exactly means the money is there in government, and I've said that we can use 60% of our budget and release the 40% to these very much needed social services, the agro machinery, the right inputs. So, who is doing all the stealing? I am NRM, but it's not opposition. All the stealing is being done by the people who are in government. I am from an oil area. I have told you, we have lost what was Munyoro. So who is stealing? Who is taking it? I am from an oil area.
All right.
The 12,000 beds are not provided by people who are not known.
We need to go for a break now.
So
when we return, we'll hear from the Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago, and also we'll hear from the Minister, the Hon Godfrey Kabbyanga Baluku, as we continue analyzing the statement of the President and the guidance he's giving to the country, where he wants us to go in the year 2024, but also not forgetting the realities on the ground. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. Spectrum Extra continues after this break.
Spectrum Extra, Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us on Spectrum Extra, live on Radio 1 FM 90, live on our website, www.radio1fm90.com. You click on the icon with the word Listen Live. We are live on DSTV Audio Channel 897, live on Star Times Audio Channel 97. But we're also coming to you online via the different radio listening apps. We're reviewing the major events of the week, and we are looking at the presidential message and sense of direction that Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, our president, is giving this country. We'll also have an opportunity to discuss the politics of 2024 being closer to an election year because of the activities that are anticipated to be there. Be part of this discussion. Share with us your views using our WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090-090. My name is Kenneth Lukwago, your host, and I have three panelists in studio. The Honorable Stephen Mukitale Biraahwa, economist, political scientist, immediate former Vilisa County MP. Also in studio, the Hon Godfrey Kabbyanga, the State Minister in charge of national guidance. That's the Republic of Uganda, the government. And the Lord Mayor of Kampala, Erias Lukwago, who is also the acting president in one of the factions of the FDC that speaks from Katonga. And he will be next on the mic. Honorable Erias Lukwago, you heard from President Yoweri Museveni. You know the realities on the ground. What's your take about the message by the president and where he wants to see this country going?
When he invited me, I had issues with the subject of the day, discussing General Museveni's speech, honestly speaking. First and foremost, I sympathize with the listeners out there. They have to bear with us to make sense out of it. Yes. My brother here was struggling to show the direction. You ask him, can we get the sense of direction from General Museveni's speech? I saw how he was struggling, giving words failing to form on his mouth, rambling around me. And he
spoke widely.
Oh my God, from jumping from here, there, you could not make head and tail out of what about corruption. What did he say? For example, what has Mukitale said about corruption?
He actually said there are people from the NRM
Let me tell you
where
this.
he belongs who are actually stealing.
There is no policy statement Museveni made. That's a fact. From his speech, it was just a matter of telling Ugandans the year has come to an end, we are going into another year. That is all.
Really?
I think, yes, it was as if it would be, I think it would be fair enough for Mr. Museveni to just come, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and that is it. Otherwise, PDM, what is it that we are discussing about? Corruption, for example. If there is anything that defined the character of this regime, it was the Mabati Bonanza, honestly speaking. So if Mabati Bonanza, which dominated the biggest part of the year, could be just treated like that. Can you imagine? You remember the letter he wrote? I'm sure he himself forgot about it. Compartmentalizing the kind of, clustering actually, the culprits. Those who are culpable, those who took voluntarily, those who solicited for the same, those who had men's, there's what we call the evil mind and so on and so forth, and said this one should be punished. Now, what happened? It is just my good friend, Rugorobi battling, and the unfortunate woman from Busoga, who is this minister, and this journalist, Nandutu. That is it. That is. But the Kasaija, listen, Kasaija.
The Honorable Matia Kasaija,
Kasaija,
Minister of Finance.
The Minister for Finance in this country is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, according to the Constitution.
Exactly.
And Kasaija stands in for Mr. Museveni.
The delegated.
Can you imagine? He's on record at the meeting. You got the Mabati, and he's still running our economy.
Well, he said the Mabati found their way to his compound.
This is what I'm telling you.
He didn't solicit for them.
And the DPP said he has no case to answer. And the case ended like, anyway, that is the reality of the day. Because you said, let's talk about the speech vis-a-vis the reality. That is the reality. And on the economy.
You are a lawyer, Honorable Erias Lukwago, and you see, it will be erroneous to proceed to court with a case where there is no tangible evidence. And probably the DPP did analysis and realized that
incidentally,
there is no evidence.
I am before the Rules and Discipline Committee of Parliament, defending the Honorable Zake. Time and again I've asked, can you particularize the offenses? I said, but we are trying to investigate and see if you committed the error offense. Anyway, that's what the chairperson and the team said.
It's an inquiry.
We are trying. Okay, could they? At least they should have conducted the commission of inquiry. Okay, if you do not want to prosecute them, these are Mavatis which are meant for the most vulnerable,
all right,
the indigents.
All right.
Anyway, for me, I don't want to waste time on
let's stay on the issue of wealth creation. You dismiss PDM.
Yes. Wealth creation.
Wealth creation. But it's a reality that some sections of our people in this country, whom you seek to lead, whom you lead even in Kampala, are in poverty. That's a
take
fact.
a leave of
So
the matter of corruption.
what would be the best
I've
way?
left it hanging.
We will
it
come up
starts
to
with Mr. Museveni and ends there.
I'll give you an opportunity to
Okay,
expound
fine.
on the issue.
Yes.
But let's hear your strategy. How would you tackle
Don't ask me for my
poverty?
strategy. Wait a minute. You see, when you talk about the strategy to deal with poverty, it starts with the national vision. What do we have? Go to Vision 2040, look at the NDP 3, what do we have there? And all these other strategies the national, planning authority has come up with and so on and so forth. And look at the economy generally. Is it working? Anyway, is the economy functional? Is it working? Because that's where I start from. And I heard, and this is so serious, where Mr. Museveni said the economy is resilient. Let me tell you this. This bold face we are putting off, the smoke screen, we are about to be unmasked as a country. The inflation you see, which they are keeping within 1 digit, it's forced. Forced in the sense that they had to reduce, to suppress, it's suppressed rather, by coming up with macroeconomic maneuvers to deal with it, starting with the CRB, that banker rate.
Which are within the monetary policy.
No.
Monetary policy.
You see,
you come up with a CBR, it's a monetary policy.
The CBR is, yes, it's a monetary tool.
It's a monetary policy.
Yes, but what is it guiding right now in taking decisions? And who is there to do it? Do we? Because it starts with the Bank of Uganda, for example, where you do not even have the central bank, where you don't even have a government.
They are controlling the amount of money in the economy by making sure that there's not too much borrowing. That's the explanation we got. No. Actually, it is low now, 9.5. Actually, it is increasing the liquidity within the economy.
The monetary policy responds to the fiscal behavior. It's like a gauge of your vehicle. So when your car is hitting, the problem is not the gauge. The problem is the engine.
What they are telling us, look here, that the shilling has depreciated by 0.9. 2023. 0.9. Call it 1%. But as we stand today, the shilling as against the dollar is 3,800 something. As it stands today. And it is threatening to go as high as 4,000 Uganda shillings. Compared to other stronger currencies. And the prices of many of these commodities are going down. The dollar is appreciating, but the prices for agricultural produce are going down. And Mr. Museveni is celebrating that. A kilo of maize right now, of course there is bumper harvest.
Exactly.
It goes for around 700 Uganda shillings right now as we talk. And Mr. Museveni is saying, what are you people doing in the agriculture? You heard his statement that one of the indicators of underdevelopment of a country is where you have the bulk of the population
in agriculture.
But he's the same person who
subsistence agriculture. Let's be specific.
Obviously, it is subsistence agriculture where,
and he wants us to move into commercial agriculture enabled by PDM.
Wait a minute. This is the very Museveni in about 4 years ago who declared that now we are in the middle income status. That's a contradiction. It's not possible that you have majority of the population in agriculture, but at the same time, and peasant farming, rudimentary methods of farming, that's what you are talking about. And now, at the same time, you are saying, the gates are now open for us. We are already within the bracket of the middle income status. That's a huge contradiction. So that's why we are saying the Musevenonomics. That doesn't make sense to us.
All right.
Is it Musevenomics?
Musevenomics. There's a book on that.
A book, yes. Doesn't really make sense to us.
All right.
And, yes. And I was saying this, look, when you look at, forget about the 1% now, the depreciation of the shilling, and also the plummeting commodity prices, not commodity in the commercial world, but within the critical sector of agriculture. And now you are talking of mechanization of agriculture. You heard him say that we are going into mechanization of agriculture. Is the problem production? Is it production? Because there is only the bumper harvest as far as maize is concerned.
Well, we are not doing only maize.
Where we started,
There's always
just giving an example. Where we started from, he said, but this business of bringing failed states together, creating a block of failed states, I heard him lament that you're bringing Somalia failed state, you're bringing DRC failed state, you're bringing South Sudan failed state. Aren't we going to be swallowed up in that block? The point I wanted to make here, he glossed over a very serious matter. Even the economy which is doing well, Kenya, closed its borders. East African community is just also another lip service. We're just talking about it. It's not there in reality. And so on and so forth. But if it's about production, is it PDM which is the magic bread? Is it PDM? And two, mechanization of agriculture. At what level? Because with this PDM, this little money, this drop in the ocean you are putting there, and the farmers are going to buy tractors to be put at sub-county level or parish level. Because I would hear him, if he was serious to make a policy statement, he would say now we are going to have mechanization of agriculture at parish level. It's not about giving handouts. To have a tractor, at least a tractor per parish.
Well, I've heard about a program by government to actually supply tractors at that level where you're talking. But I want you to clarify on the issue of corruption. You said corruption starts and ends with him. What exactly is that?
If you wanted to understand this, listen carefully to what Betty Kamya is talking about. Betty Kamya resigned a long time ago. Betty Kamya right now is just lamenting. And if you listen to her carefully...
Just to put the marker, she's the IGG, Inspector General of Government.
The titular head.
Is the Lord Mayor talking about the lady of the federal?
No, he's talking about the IGG.
The former vice president
that's why
of
FDC.
FDC.
You see, after the demonstration here, I don't know which year it was, there was a march against corruption from the Constitutional Square to somewhere. I think that was when...
The march against corruption.
The march against corruption. I think that's when the late Speaker Olanya, Jacob Olanya, spoke truth to power.
And he was ruled out of order.
Exactly. All right. He spoke, get his speech. It summarizes, it sums it up.
All right.
And what Betty Kamya said, she came up with a wonderful idea. Said, let's do...
Lifestyle audit.
Lifestyle audit. The man told him, go slow.
All right.
Because with lifestyle audit, I don't want to. Just before he comes in, they have overspoken.
You want that to fight local investors. Local investors.
Yes, Lord Mayor.
Now you're speaking what I told you. If these guys were investing their money in the right areas, wouldn't be looking for jobs. Wouldn't be have the
lifting the veil to get to know who owns the buildings. These malls in Kampala. Have you seen that huge mall in Chengera Mall? They'll ask you who owns it, that Chengera Mall. You'd find even the homes, I don't want to mention.
He's a fisherman.
Could the one of Joseph Fuyiga.
Isn't Chengera in Kampala, capital city?
It's not.
It's not.
You want him to take it to Europe?
All right. Let's hear from the Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga. Honorable Minister, we have had the message of the President. You've had the reaction from your colleagues here on the table. What is your take? Where does the President want this country to go? And is this really serious on this issue of wealth creation and corruption?
The President is really serious about whatever he said, and he has goodwill for this country, and we should really thank him for his efforts in trying to see that the economy grows. Because we should also thank all Ugandans for participating in trying to make the economy resilient. Because, you know, after COVID, things were so bad. But one thing I would like to thank our government for, we didn't go into panic mode. For instance, creating so many subsidies, people were talking about subsidies in oil. Somehow the president resisted, and we came out of COVID with some bit of a fair take. But some of the countries which went into those subsidies are now in big problems, and we are trying to recover, and we are recovering a bit fast. So the president talked about wealth creation, wealth and job creation, and he still believes there is something which can come out of PDM. And indeed, if you look at how PDM is designed as a strategy, it's a very nice strategy.
The design, according to Mukitale, is good,
yes,
but the
yes.
implementation is the problem, just like in the past.
Now, I think what now we should be looking at, just as Honorable Mukitale is saying, is the implementation part. And I'm happy that, with the exception of the Kampala Capital City Authority, most of the parishes have received the first 100 million shillings. Kampala Capital City Authority still has a bit of challenges because for them, I think the design somehow didn't take care of urban authorities, and that one has to be revisited.
So when you were working on the PDM, you forgot that you have urban areas in this country?
No.
When would you say that is poor planning?
No. I have been an urban leader. I've been an urban
mayor
leader
of Kasese.
like Lukwago. And we have always complained in our forums of mayors that UAAU, Amical, and the like. That some of these Wulga. That's why at one time the UN wanted Wulga and UAAU to form one association, and I think Lord Mayor knows this. But the urban authorities refused, because normally when the country is planning, somehow they look at a district as a unit. Even Kampala is called a what? A district. But the district of Kampala and the district of say
Masaka,
Masaka, they don't have the same characteristics. For instance, here in Kampala, even when it is a district, garbage, if you ask the Lord Mayor what is your problem, he will probably say garbage management. He will talk about traffic.
Over 2,000
tons.
A day.
Exactly. He will talk about traffic control. And he will talk about roads.
Over 600 vehicles.
Exactly. But you cannot talk about garbage.
600,000.
Exactly. But you cannot talk about traffic in Liandonde. You cannot talk about traffic in the rural Kasese. You cannot talk about garbage, because in the rural Kasese, you just throw your garbage in your behind the what? Behind the kitchen, because you have your banana plantation there, so it's manure. So those are some of the challenges that we need to take care of. But the design itself is good for the rural folk, and I'm happy that we have dispersed the first 100 million shillings per parish. If it can be utilized properly, it can do some wonders. Though now there are also some challenges. We are getting a lot of feedback. But that is just one pillar, just as Honorable Mukitale is talking about. Mukitale. Now, other pillars are also being handled. But unfortunately, one pillar is being given a lot of prominence. That is pillar number 3. But there are also other pillars. For instance, my ministry is in charge of one pillar, the parish model management information system.
That's the mindset change. Is that
no,
the aspect?
that is the system.
The system.
It's not going to be the system plus mindset.
Mindset. We are handling it with the Ministry of Gender.
Well, let me tell you the problem. You rushed to release money for a population that is not prepared.
No. Let me now. I'll come to that.
You should have taken like a full year.
I'll come to that. But for instance, the management
Preparing the
information
population
system is also ready now. It is also
It's ready after you started implementing.
No. It was even ready before implementation started. But you have to update it every day, because with the information systems, it cannot be stagnant at a certain stage. So we continue updating it, we continue collecting more data, but it's ready. But that one, people don't talk about it. Now, there is also mindset change which is going on. We are working closely with the Ministry of Gender, and we have held several trainings. But also mindset change is something which must be ongoing. And it's where the problem is of the it's actually the biggest population. It may not even be the money which they want, but they want to first change their mindset and understand. And that one, we need to look at it very seriously. Preparedness, just as you're talking about. But you should also know that this 1 billion shillings per
change from what to what? I fail to understand that. It's also abstract mindset change.
Well, the idea is people are considering this money as a gift.
Yes.
They're saying President Yoweri Museveni is gifting them, so they are misusing the money instead of putting it into productive activities. That seems to be the problem.
Yeah, and
when the ventures are there, are the ventures there?
They are not focusing on the ventures, which they would ideally put in place.
Supposing I have my maize now,
All right.
I've harvested my maize now, and it has no market, and you are giving me, and how is the PDM helping?
I think I'll come to that.
How is the PDM helping?
I think I will also come to that.
Yes.
Because, you know, when you look at what I'm talking about in mindset, for instance, me I come from Mururu Kasese. You can prepare your farm. You are just under the same condition. Here you meet someone who has a very nice banana plantation, doing very well. Even you come from Moiba, you have seen it. But here you see someone is not even tendering his or their banana plantation. You are the same area.
A neighbor is not emulating.
A neighbor is not emulating.
And there are even some people who have huge chunks of land that are not being utilized.
Those are things which we need to work on as leaders. Those are all our responsibility. For instance, the 1 billion shillings per district for maintenance of roads is part of PDM under infrastructure. But now the issue is, assuming these 1 million people, these people who have got 1 million shillings per household, assuming they invest it productively, efficiently, and they produce, what happens to that? And that's what Lord Mayor is coming up with. Exactly, I'm coming to that.
No, okay, let me leave out maize. Now let me talk about tea. Because you know from Western Uganda, people were growing tea, and the prices have gone down, have plummeted to a record lowest price now.
Yes.
And now they are stuck with their harvest.
It's good you are asking me.
Yes.
But every time I come on this panel, I always tell Kenneth that I've not come to answer questions. I've come to debate with leaders so that we can really see how we can solve problems. Because we are all leaders. And we are managers because there are problems. Now,
we're in charge of national government to guide us.
And I'm guiding you now.
You owe us a duty.
Now I'm guiding you as a road
man. I'm you guide me. I have my team. It has no market. I'm stuck with it.
But
I'm in Fort Portal. What do I do?
I may not have the monopoly to guide, even when I'm leading the guidance, because I must have partners. Now, that's where the problem is. Now, pillar number one of production, storage, marketing, that's where now we should put a lot of emphasis on pillar number one. Because if at all it's production, storage, processing, and marketing, that's where now we should put a lot of emphasis. Because now we have seen that there's a bumper harvest of maize. We don't have storage in some parts of the country. we would now be processing it into probably maize flour and whatever other products, adding value on it. Now, those are the issues. Now, what we need as government now, that we are pushing money into PDM, let us prepare for that bumper harvest. We must build more silos. We must give money to now the men and women who stay in Lord Mayor Lukwago's city, probably to put up factories to process what will be produced.
So the PDM is going to answer that.
Now PDM is also answering that somehow, because that's why now we have put money in UDP, so that the processors, for them, they will not wait for this money of PDM. They should go to UDP. There is now agricultural credit facility. They should go to agricultural credit facility. And for instance, in Kasese, we are doing well in that, because there are so many people now who have put up silos, and they got money from UDP. So we are not going to get a lot of problems of storage. And now, what we should do now is to see, and that's why I support the issue of KCCA having its own design, because the market now is here. But do people have capital to buy this product?
All right, you are beating them up.
Spectrum extra.
And that's where now we should go.
Let's go for a break. When we return, Honorable Minister, I'll give you a few more minutes to actually wind up your points on the issues of PDM. You'll also have to respond to the issues of corruption before we actually bring in your colleagues to tie up the discussion, and then the views from the people. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. We will continue after this break.
Spectrum Extra, Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome aboard Uganda Airlines. Fly with us on our direct flights from Entebbe to multiple destinations aboard our newest fleet, modeled to perfection for your comfort, and experience great onboard hospitality and the most competitive fares. Enjoy a memorable flying experience with Uganda Airlines as we link you to opportunities across Africa and beyond. Book now on our mobile app or our website www.ugandaairlines.com or call telephone number 0200 416 400 or visit our ticketing offices at Victoria University Towers, Ginger Road, Kampala, and at our Entebbe Airport offices. Fly Uganda Airlines for a memorable flying experience.
Uganda Airlines.
Join and win! Join the show club, earn points, and stand a chance to win lots and lots of prizes. Every time you drop by any Shell station, buy fuel, enjoy shopping, buy Shell gas or lubricants, swipe your card and get points that could win you a drone. A drone for your business and family. Those points could also win you a brand new border and so much more. So download the Shell Africa app from your Google Play or App Store. Join and win with Shell. Shell, go well.
Spectrum Extra, Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you very much for staying with us on Spectrum Extra, which is live on Radio 1 FM 90, reviewing the major events of the week. We are looking at the speech of the head of state guiding this country, where he wants us to go in the year 2024. And we'll be looking at also the political aspects of the political issues likely to emerge in the year 2024, which is being looked at as an election year, as different groups begin preparing for the 2026 general election. My guest this evening, Hon Erias Lukwago, Lord Mayor of Kampala, Hon Stephen Mukitale, former Blissa County MP, and the Hon Godfrey Kabbyanga, the State Minister in charge of National Guidance. My name is Kenneth Lukwago Anderson, your host. And before we went for the break, Hon Kabbyanga was on the microphone, winding up his point on the issue of the PDM. Please do respond to the other issues also that came in around the issues of dealing with the corruption.
Yeah, now, so I was telling you, pillar number one is what now we should move on as fast as possible. Because we have to go into mechanization in order to
So pillar number 1 is
production. Paid the program
storage,
to explain the PDM.
Yes.
Let's discuss policy issues.
And then we shall come to that, because me, even corruption, I'm going to tackle it in this PDM. So if we can handle this pillar number 1 as fast as possible, and just as Minister of Agriculture now is coming up with the mechanization program, storage program, and then the marketing program, then we shall be doing well. You should also know that under PDM there is governance and administration issues, and that's where corruption comes in. And I've said it here before. The biggest problem my government has now is fighting corruption, because the Honorable Betty Kami produced a report last year, I think, and it was saying, out of 52 trillion, 10 trillion went into corruption. And if you look at...
That's over 20%.
Exactly. If you look at the money which World Bank locked out, people are saying, World Bank has castle loans. It is also about 71 trillion.
But you see, Honorable Minister, the stealing did begin just last year with the report of Honorable Betty Kami. It seems it has gone on and on. Some people actually suggest that if President Yoweri Museveni successfully fights corruption, the NRM government will collapse. I'm sure you've heard about that.
I'm giving you that as an example.
And you are
saying the corrupt deep state will overthrow the NRM government.
The liaison data of the NRM regime is corruption.
What I'm saying, I'm giving you this as an example, because at least a report is there, which I'm quoting. But it is something which has been on, and we are looking at it. And I would like to say, if we don't handle it head on, then the economy will collapse. Because the moment we say we cannot move against the corrupt, then the economy is going to do what? To collapse. Because you can't have a budget of 52 trillion and 10 trillion goes into what? Into corruption.
Some people are saying you can't move against yourselves.
No, you can. Because the president
How can you do that?
The president, his speech is here. And point number 2 is we must fight what?
I have seen the
president collectively.
I have seen the president before actually telling us that he knows the corrupt.
But also Honorable,
and he has never dealt with them.
Honorable Mukitale brought on one issue. Where do these corrupt put the money? All these countries you see, even the ones you people praise, there is a lot of what? Corruption.
Okay.
But for them, when they steal the money, they invest it in production. You're getting me? You just meet that the corrupt are still the owners of what? Of industries.
The ones upon corrupt.
Yes, the ones upon corrupt are now what? Industrialists. They steal the money and put it in
the economy.
And the economy prospers.
Here they go to
all these countries which all of you try to revamp, think there is a lot of corruption. Even in America there is corruption. In China there is corruption. You have seen people resigning in China and in Japan. Some of them even committing suicide. Corrupt government officials.
No. See, at least that happens in China. That happens in the US. When somebody is caught, they are prosecuted, their assets confiscated, and then they are jailed.
Probably
here corruption is glorified.
How much of Trump's wealth has been confiscated? Because he is Chinese and Russian.
Well, there's an ongoing investigation.
But all in all, corruption is an evil. That we must also, what is a vice that we must fight. And even some of us in government are seeing it. And all of us must jointly support the president to do what? To fight it. Because it is not something, it's not done by only one person.
Actually, here it's beyond corruption, it's plunder. Let's call it plunder. We must fight plunder.
Yes, plunder.
Because Betty Kami now is talking about going in for the police officers who are picking Chitu Chidogo, school teachers and whatnot. She has resigned to
I also can't go
small fish.
But what we are saying, the president has defined it here.
Yes.
And maybe it could be something different. He says, The corrupt are the ones that have political power and are around utilization of public resources. So basically, he's talking about people who are the government system.
My Secretary General, Honorable
Todong did issue that warning.
Very clearly.
Exactly.
Nepotism, corruption, and greed, if not fought, we are finished.
Yes.
Senior minister, the delegated minister, according to the Lord Mayor, Matia Kasaija, told the president the other day in Kololo,
Yes.
Your Excellency, corruption is too much.
So what else do you want to do?
For me as a procurement person, I have told you here many times,
Yes.
40% of government procurement
So the biggest question I want
is
to
funding
the biggest question
corruption.
I want to put to you all: who is in charge? Who
Now,
is in charge? Who is the chief executive of what?
When we talk about occupation, the citizens, because the money is supposed to go for health, supposed to go for education. By the way, one of the things President talked about, he promised 3 months ago that he thinks we must go into universal free education. It disappeared in the speech. Because there are real issues after COVID.
He also talked about a doctor at a parish level.
Yes, and doctor at the parish level. So the point I want to make, and I want to be understood by the Lord Mayor, and now I understand why, many times that people have asked me, why do you say the president is the leader of opposition? I expected when I say the quantum. I refused many times when I was here. The Mabat scandal was only 10 billion. The Namuganza, instead of recovering the land of Nakawa and Naguru, they were just wanted to fire a minister. NSF fund of 20 trillion, they were only discussing 6 billion. So, diversionary obscurantism. We miss small things. When I am talking about procurement corruption, I am talking about 40% of the budget. When I'm talking about corruption of oil and gas, I would want, no, just let me first finish. I didn't interrupt him. When I'm talking about for me, some people are saying it's an insult to tell them to wait for PDM when they are denied the percentage, 48% of the 10 billion of Telenga and the people of Noya. So I expected the president, the FDC president, to actually help the president and speak as opposition on how is FDC going to fight the corruption in oil and gas, the corruption in procurement. But when we are swayed to small things of Mabad, when we are swayed, when actually big loot is happening.
All right.
Let's talk about for me the whole scandal because of the quantum you are looking at. You are losing the big picture, the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that the people who
and I'm not condoning
people who share the Mabati.
As you are discussing Mabati, big things are passing.
The people who share the Mabati are the very people who are in charge of all the national resources. Who are supposed to protect your land, who are supposed to protect the coffers, the central bank. These are the people who are in charge of the budget.
Those are workers.
These are people. I'm not talking about the civil
I know
servants.
them as workers.
No, exactly.
Even my ministers are workers.
To Mr. Museveni, because you look at the appropriation, for example, of the national budget. Look at the supplementary budget they are making. The PDM you are talking, how much is involved? The 7 trillion, which has just been appropriated. How much has gone to PDM, for example? A lot of it is going to President's office. It's going to State House.
Maybe because it is PDM is budgeted for. It's not an unforeseen issue.
Are you saying even the President's office is unforeseen? The expenditure within State House is an emergency that has cropped up, necessitating a supplementary budget. You get it? That's how it gets swallowed up. And colossal sums of money are dished out from State House there. So, the moment, for me, let me tell you, the indicators of corruption is what you are rubbishing. That if you have a Kasaija who is the Minister of Finance, with that gluttonous behavior of defending Mabatis which he took, then you can imagine what he does behind scenes there. That you get Mabati, which are meant for Karamoja, probably they are customized with a stamp, not for government and not for sale.
All right.
And now, so anyway, that is a very, very serious matter.
All right.
And the final thing you are asking, who is responsible? The unfortunate bit here is the citizen is beaten terribly. It's not empowered. You see, when we talk about civic empowerment, people to be able to hold the leadership to account. Because Mr. Museveni is saying, those who are stealing are the ones who are wielding power. But who is supposed to call them to order? It is the citizenry.
All right.
The unfortunate bit, when we come out, for example, to amplify the voice of the citizenry, you club us, you hit us. Now, African Development Bank has threatened to recall a loan facility, the ADB loan.
For Kampala.
For Kampala.
Which you warned the other time.
I put you on notice here that people have put their hands on the in the till. They are actually in the pulse there. 288 million US, close to 1 trillion. And you are crying about potholes. And then you find charlatans everywhere. Hey, why are you not fixing the potholes? You man, what are you doing in the state hall there? But I tell you, look here, we have struggled to get a loan facility, at least to help us improve on infrastructure. But there are people who are stealing it.
Right.
They have put a unity cost at 14 billion Uganda shillings. A unity cost.
That's per kilometer.
Per kilometer. That a kilometer is going to cost 14 billion, and you are just hitting me that this man is fighting.
Let's
get feedback from the listener. We have comments coming in. Spectrum Extra, Godfrey Kabbyanga listening in from Kitezi. I have made a comprehensive study of the present species over the years. The content is always the same. That's his comment there. Hello, thanks for the show. Ugandans know the problems of their country, and the president knows them too. But he has deliberately refused to listen to the people of Uganda, more so religious leaders and well-experienced senior citizens. Yet all the problems we know we are grappling with have been attributed by his overstay and his personal failure to deal with his corrupt government officials. So he is the real problem our country is facing, believe it or not. That is Subuga Shafik with that comment. Marido Okello listening in from Kisumu in Kenya. He says, good evening, Kenneth. Bana President Museveni has always survived on lies, malice and threats, and it seems he takes it as best moral choice so long as his calculated interests are achieved. His speeches do not differ with similar lies and threats. He cannot fight corruption, and he knows it. I was shocked when he pardoned Rwamafa and others. Then another comment, good evening, Kenneth, Happy New Year. Now, the nicest tool to fight corruption is create system, respect systems. Fighting corruption is an abstract struggle with no measurable indicators. That is Henry Huenda. Another comment, for several years now, there has never been anything different about the president's speech. Corruption is merely a routine and inevitable motivational speech. The Lord Mayor, who has worked alongside this government, knows all these irrelevancies. Peter listening in from Mubende. Henry Twinamasko, the underlying problem of this country is lack of well-functioning system and checks and balances. And he also says that there is lack of effective administrative capacity, resulting in strategic incompetence and systematic corruption. Solve this problem, everything else will fall in place. Another comment from Robert listening in from Kumi. I still think PDM is the biggest con in this country. Maybe it's a gift, as they say. The real causes of poverty now are healthcare costs and cost of college education paid by families for their children, making families unable to save. This is compounded by lack of employment at the end of that education. If government is serious about fighting poverty, remove these costs from people and you will see how those areas will develop. I know of people who got PDM and straight away used it to pay tuition. That's Robert in Kumi. Happy New Year, Spectrum Extra and all Ugandans. The problem Uganda is not production, but the market. Minister Kabbyanga knows it very well that his people in Kasese sometimes leave their maize in plantation because the cost of harvesting it is much higher than what one will get after selling the maize. Secondly, corruption to Museveni and NRM is what has kept them in power. Minus corruption, there is no NRM. Joseph listening in from Ottawa in Canada. He says, greetings to my former mayor, Kasese Kabbyanga, and my FDC president, Lukwago. Okello Patrick Bonyo from Busega. PDM is just a conduit to steal money by big boys and girls in the NRM government. Like any other projects being introduced, it will park somewhere, then they will create another one, and the cycle continues without tangible results. Somebody else writes and says, remind Mr. Kabbyanga that President Museveni has been recycling corrupt officials in his government. What does that imply if indeed he is determined to fight corruption? Lastly but not least, Yiga Samuel, listening in from Namlondo Zone in Bweyogerere. Mr. Kenneth, thanks for the show. The only solution to most of the issues, especially corruption, is change of government. Mr. Museveni has nothing new to do upon his corrupted officials apart from handing over power to new blood. Honorable Mukitale.
You see, PDM, we have other efforts of transformation to our people. We have other delivery mechanisms. That if
there is allergic to PDM.
For me, I am for delivery mechanism. You know, it's wrong for every time to think money is a solution.
All right, Honorable Mukitale. Now, PDM,
when you have
now let's look at the tail end of it. PDM has kicked off. You've been able to access and seen the mistakes that are there. Let's advise the government. Because we can't.
That's the point I'm making.
How can we make
we
it
have
better
just
this
had
year?
an equal opportunities report. Uganda is not homogeneous. There are people at different levels. You cannot be saying the poor people in Nakapuripit should say get the same money when the president has clearly said that his neighbors have already transformed, and you saw what was launched last week. They are in a different class. They have circles of billions of ceilings. Eh? They have enough money. So we need to look at specific regional interventions. I am an advocate of regional government, and I think if we had looked at the challenges and the structure of every region, we could easily transform this country than hiding in this Kampala central government when we are not dealing. Leaders in every region in this country can provide their own solutions if we empowered them with the budget. I am an advocate of devolution. I'm an advocate of regional. But let me also say, the Catholic Church, which started this process, the faith-based efforts in poverty alleviation have worked much better, and even in managing their schools. I don't know why we want to get credit as a politicians of LOC3, I don't know what. We have not done well in as far as this program. You see the programs of the church, Send a Cow, Heifer, they are very successful, and their revolving funds have moved to a 20th person. When our own government in Tandikwa, I don't know what, dies there. So there is an area of delivery mechanism. Why do we want, government is already having too much to do. Why don't we work with this very powerful cultural institution like the Bukam of Munyoro and Buganda? Why don't we work with this religious, these bishops, if they say, please save, the Catholics will save. When the Shaker says, do this, Honorable Lukwago knows. The Kibuli faction has spoken, this group has, they will do. But you want to first spend money, you go on the radio as RDC, speak what? People have cultural institutions. People have religious faith. This is a very big synergy. If government worked with it, apart from going to them to look for votes, let's use them to transform our people. These people's development can be done by churches, can be done by mosques, can be done. You see the Buganda efforts in fighting poverty. They are working. They are working. But the words of government, they are not. The trees which are planted by kingdoms, you see them, they are growing. The words of NADS, you find somebody has 50,000 drying. Because we want to be seen to be. So let us share this power.
All right, very quickly, may I bring in the minister?
Because the state does not belong to you. The state is captured. It's not with you. It's in the hands of
so you give us
few individuals.
Give us alternatives.
Yes. Let's deal with
alternative policy, delivery mechanism.
Let's fix governance issues. The church you are complaining about, they have.
I am not complaining.
No, not complaining. You are commending. They have well-established leadership structures. Exactly. The state is home. You do not have a functional state. Yes. All the institutions are hijacked. These are the things we are talking about.
You don't need the parish chief, the father, and the reverend, and the imam can actually deliver this PDM.
Honorable Kabbyanga. Yes. There were some comments that came directly to you based on what you had submitted, but you have also had from the round of contribution on the table. Very quickly.
First of all, the state is not captured. That's why you still you see all political.
Doesn't even have goodwill. The church has goodwill. Uganda government has total kingdom. And don't have goodwill.
And I've had some people saying the government lost trust. I had some people saying.
Once you are devoid of goodwill,
government still has trust. That's why we go for elections and win. That is a vote of confidence. Otherwise, if people had lost trust, then why do they renew our mandate every 5 years? So that one,
For the last 40 years.
you may think it has lost trust because probably you have issues with them. With us.
There is a way the Lord Mayor is looking at.
Yeah, I know it's a problem. But he's also serving in this government. You know, when we are talking of corruption, for instance, let me say one thing. I commend you for one thing. I commend him for one thing.
The Lord Mayor.
Yes. He has
The Lord Mayor receive your flowers.
He has
Salutations.
been bringing out the evils in Kampala as far as corruption is concerned. That money here is being what? Is being eaten. And that one, I commend him for that.
So are you saying he should aim higher?
Yes.
We talk about even the governance.
No,
I think it's coming. After this, we are going to governance issues. I've seen.
You want him to aim higher?
Yes, he should aim higher.
And you know what I mean?
I wish he had been given powers within our laws to even dismiss some of these people.
The executive
The executive powers. I think that's what you want.
But this is exactly what I'm telling you. When we go to elections, we go for executive power.
But to be sincere to you, for us now, as Lord Mayor is doing, for instance, now he brought out the issue of corruption.
The roads.
Mainly when it came to the roads. And I think the necessary steps are being taken to see how those people can be brought to book. Corruption needs to be fought collectively. I also don't like the way of recycling.
Are you sure, Honorable Minister, heads are going to roll?
Yes,
as far as the issues of Kampala
heads
roads
are
are
going
concerned?
to roll as far as corruption is concerned.
On the issues of roads in Kampala.
Even on the issues of roads. But you know also, the callers here they have sent messages.
It's just to bring SFC to take on the work.
First leave SFC. SFC has not stolen any money. Now,
their account. Making we see.
Honorable Minister, you're protected. You're protected.
I'm not protected.
Are they making?
I'm not protected.
If they have engineering,
I've not seen the SFC base of quantity.
I want to ask you,
They have not made the reports to.
you should demand for them. You are not the mayor. You don't want to see them. You don't want to see them
Just
because you are allergic to them.
I thought Kisaka was more cooperative
There
than
is
uniforms.
one of the comments came, which is also good that we should take note of.
Recycling.
Someone steals money in Masindi and is transferred to Kasese. Someone steals money in Luka, then is transferred to Liantonde. I think that one should also what? Stop. There must be a mechanism when you steal money in Masindi. Then you should
Become a person non grata.
Exactly.
You are finished.
You are finished. Yes. They take you to police as soon as they convict you. You just go.
Those are the chief accounting officers.
Yes, exactly.
How about cabinet ministers?
Even cabinet ministers is really, but they are prosecuting some of them. There is already those who are in court. We cannot say they are thieves till they are proved what?
Do you believe there is recycling in cabinet?
I don't know exactly, because most of them who have been recycled are not thieves. Unless someone has been prosecuted and has been proved guilty.
Are you sure there is a prosecution
of
Nandutu and Rugorobi? Is that prosecution of ministers?
What is it?
Honestly,
what is it?
Are those even ministers?
What are they? What are they? What are they? What are they?
Very quickly.
So me, I strongly believe we should really put up a spirited fight on corruption, and it should be collective responsibility. The issue of saying Museveni pardoned Rwamafa and whatever, I think the president has even at one time pardoned the murderers. Now Rwamafa, because of old age, advanced age, I think he had stayed in jail for for over 10 years. And then the president looked at his age. But the president has even pardoned the murderers.
But was the money recovered from him? That's a very important
They are
aspect.
going to recover.
Because
They have recovered some.
Because there are so many people who are supposed to benefit from
They
this.
have recovered. They have recovered the part of the money. But obviously, it also depends on whether he had enough property. Some of the people, you have seen that some of the people steal and they go and enjoy. So you have nothing to recover the money from.
Honorable Minister, as you continue, Kennedy and the listeners, the president's speech on security touched it briefly, and let me condolences to the Pastor Bujingo's driver. The issue of security as we begin the year is a very sensitive matter. We lost Sobi not very few
weeks ago.
Katanga's case is another gun case. Really, it's something we should not gloss over.
And there are so many other unresolved
we should seriously, and Sobi is land related. You know, this year we have had a lot of land cases, including the Valalo in the north. Why would Sobi, as Sobi's group says, there are over 1,200. So the issue of security in this country, how life of people...
Security is a governance issue.
I am saying that let us...
Some extra on Radio 1 FM. Let's take that break. When we return, we will shift our gears and go into the issues of governance that the Lord Mayor is actually emphasizing, and we see how they will play out in the year 2024. Stay with us. Spectrum Extra continues after this break.
Spectrum Extra, Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on Radio 1 FM 90.
Hey, Richard. Thank you for the meal. But can I have more chapati and some to take home? I have not tasted anything like this before.
Sorry, they are finished. Everyone only ate chapati and posho today.
Sure? I noticed that even the posho tasted great. Where did you buy it from?
Hey, have you not heard about the new wheat and maize flour? Spring flour. Spring flour comes in both wheat and maize. Spring flour is very nutritious, tasty and healthy because it's fortified with 9 vitamins and minerals. Spring flour stretches easily and uses less oil, so you end up baking more in less time. Find Spring flour in all supermarkets and shops countrywide. Spring flour is manufactured by Mandela Millers at Busega Roundabout, Masaka Road, a product of Mandela Group.
Nabimala, if your financial protection, Nabimala, if your financial protection, Nabimala, Manimuliba, Dikiza, Investor Plus, your dreams are covered, protect, save, invest in one plan. Hey, Nabimala.
Get a Pro Investor Plus policy from Prudential and secure your financial future today. Prudential, let's live life together. Tulinawi. Prudential is regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority.
Spectrum Extra, Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on Radio 1 FM 90.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum Extra, which is live on Radio 1 FM 90. My name is Kenneth Lukwago Anderson, your host, reviewing the major events of the week, but mainly looking at the prospects and likely challenges in the year 2024. We have been just looking at the speech of the President Yoweri Museveni, where he talked about wealth creation, issues of corruption, talked about regional integration and also issues of security, and Honorable Mukitale emphasizing that very important issue there as we came towards the end of that particular subtopic. Now we're shifting our gears and we're going to do the issue of governance, and I'll begin with the Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago. You know, when Honorable Kabbyanga said that you've done well in exposing issues of corruption in KCCA, I actually asked him whether you should aim higher. He seemed not to understand that. But I know you now head a faction which brings you closer, probably, to contesting for the presidency. Should your colleagues actually give you a nod? And that's the aiming higher I was actually looking at. But what are your issues as far as governance is concerned in the year 2024?
I can see what is weighing heavily on your mind.
Nothing is weighing heavily on my mind.
Yes, elections, because you are conditioned like that.
And it is a key aspect of governance, elections.
Yes, it's the way Museveni has conditioned this country. All through, by the way. And that's why, at times, you hear people describing themselves as voters. Personally, I feel irritated when somebody calls me or they introduce themselves to me. Ndi mulonzi wo. I said, but you are not meant to be a voting machine.
But are they not your voters? Lord Mayor, are they not your voters?
Exactly. That's how Museveni has conditioned the citizens of this country to believe that actually they are meant to act as a voting machine and manipulated ones. And it's for a reason, by the way, because he knows elections are manipulated, they are rigged, and they are now a mechanism of regime sustenance. They are a mechanism of power retention. They are a mechanism of hoodwinking Ugandans that actually they are democratic processes in the country, whereas not. So they are a mechanism of sustaining that fallacy, that illusion that indeed there is a democracy, that they have power, they have the authority to determine who governs them and how they should be governed. This is exactly what this debate is all about. And I will resist that temptation, because you want us to discuss 2026, who should be the, and that's the reason.
I did even mention 2026.
Yes, the mention of the ambitions and what
I actually asked you what would be the major governance issues.
Can I tell you what? Our colleagues in Najanankun, they rolled out a program that beginning this month, there's going to be a process of expression of interest for all oppositions across board.
And the NRM has also rolled out
a program. They want, I think, is it 4 million people and so on and so forth. So they are gearing up. And Mr. Museveni is going to drum this so much. Very soon, you are going to hear Electoral Commission coming out, also rolling out the map. So driving the nation towards
the Electoral Commission,
and that's why
rolled
they are
out
calling
the map.
this they have not drummed it so much. They are going to hype it so much. And that's why you are calling this year 2024
an election year,
which is not the case. Which shouldn't be the case. Because, let me tell you,
I'm not saying it's the year that we are going to vote. An election year simply means those critical times leading to an election.
Yeah, you are insinuating that actually it's the year when people should begin jostling for positions. Should position
preparing, not jostling for positions.
You see, preparing requires starting with the playing field.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not about assembling teams.
Now you are talking. Those are the governance issues I was asking.
That you are going to the locker rooms to see who should play which position on the pitch, when actually the pitch is under captivity, is under siege. The pitch is not only lopsided, but full, not even of potholes, but it is under somebody's control. There is no pitch as of now. And it's the reason for us we are saying, look here, Uganda should focus on that. That actually in this country, the constitution has been abrogated for a long time. We do not have the constitutional order that we set out to have at the time we were promulgating this 1995 constitution, which we thought was a watershed document or constitution, looking at the history of this country, where we have come from. Look at the preamble and ushering in a new dispensation, a new order, a new system that would engender free expression of people's will, and also free competition. And it's the command the Electoral Commission has to organize free and fair elections, which we do not have. And it is our agenda as the FDC I lead, at least the progressive forces in the FDC, that should be the central focus for Ugandans, so that we regain control. Why? We must put meaning to Article 1 of the Constitution, that power belongs to the people, yet actually power does not belong to people right now.
So what are you going to be doing this particular year?
Very soon we are rolling out the program of what we are going to be doing at a party level and at intra-party level, because we also, last year you saw what we did. We assembled at the NOPO headquarters, all forces of change, to place this country in the hands of God, in addition to praying for the victims of all these injustices. People who have been disappeared without any trace, those who have been killed extrajudicially, and those who are languishing in jail without any trial. There are so many prisoners of conscience, and we had to put the country in the hands of God. You remember on 21st of last month. And then we said very soon we shall come out and tell the country the common agenda we have. So it's not up to me to roll it out. You just put your ear on the ground. We shall be telling you what we have.
So forces of change are going to work together.
But we have been working together, even at that function.
All right, maybe
we were together. You didn't you hear us making commitments on that at that function and making petitions to God for divine intervention? We did so. But as to how we are going to sustainably pursue the agenda, that is a matter to be handled by the leadership at that level. But I know for sure it's going to be Museveni's agenda to drive the nation, to try to drive the nation towards that discussion, as well as causing schisms, divisions within the forces of change.
So let's look at the minimum requirements, the things that you need actually to see done with in order to ensure that you have a level playing field, the one you complained about, as we head towards this election. Something that will encourage you and say, yes, indeed, we are marching in the right direction as a country.
We have always talked about the issue of a transition.
Transition.
Yes, because right now, the vote does not...
From who to who?
From the current environment where power is monopolized by one person, Joel Kaguta Museveni, and a few around him, to the wider population, so that the vote has a meaning. Because that is the primary thing. The vote must count. Today, your vote, Kenneth, cannot count, does not make any sense. It's a mere piece of paper. As far as, at least to the extent of the presidential elections, it does, because you'll ask me, how are you holding the position of the Lord Mayor? But as far as changing the presidency in this country, a vote does not count. So that is condition number one. Article 59, look at it. That vote is sacrosanct. It's vital. It's important. So we want to make it valuable at all costs. And that is a command under Article 3 of the Constitution. And that's what we want to focus on so much as a party, the FDC, before we go into elections of 2026. The other things like free competition, assembly, because Article 29 of the Constitution guarantees the right to assembly, the right to hold an opinion, the right to share to disseminate whatever views I have, the right to contest freely. Those ones flow from the primary right to have a meaningful vote. They all flow from that. So basically, that's where our attention is as of now.
All right. Let's hear from Honorable Mukitale.
If I had powers, I would request that before we go for elections, we first have a National Truth and Reconciliation, a comprehensive constitutional review commission, have an amnesty commission. There are constitutional reforms and legal reforms regarding the elections which were attended in by Stephen Tasovia report, and up to date successive parliaments have never dealt with. There has been constitutional legislation. Yes, exactly. There are constitutional legislations which are made by court rulings in the previous elections. Up to date, they have not been accommodated. We have just had a problem the way the last election was handled. People were killed, people were lost. Those matters have not been resolved. That's why for some time I was saying, instead of us discussing the people who are lost, we should choose them and say, can we create a good, conducive condition for another election? Because an election envisages that there are going to be free competition, fair, people will make a choice, an informed choice from different, so that we don't have voter fatigue and spending money when people are not very clear. The citizens of Uganda must face it squarely. What political dispensation do we want? Because my experience, the last 30 years, and more so the 15 in parliament, I can see the citizens of Uganda haven't been allowed to take a decision on what they want. You see a lot of militarism. We militarize our politics, and we are stuck there. We have failed to give back the authority to civilian. So to go for an election and expect the military to stand aside when they have not yet, we have not done before the election agreed that this is a civilian matter, security can be aside. I think it's a lie. Secondly, I condemn in strongest terms possible commercialization of politics. The moment politics, elected posts, becomes ways of transforming somebody from poverty to everything, then it is a problem. It's a do or die. Those days, people came to serve. So, one should come to politics to serve. One should come there as a duty. But right now, people are spending billions. No wonder some of them from wrong sources. For me, in Ulisa, where the oil was discovered, we started with armed herdsmen. To remove them, they become your political opponent. We started getting a lot of fun in billions. All Ulisa elections have been in billions. You get 100 motorcycles, you get how many TVs with installation and generator. You get a lot of vehicles. Somebody has never seen 10 million in his account, but is doing a 2 billion campaign. That is because of allowing people funding elections. Because if I'm an NRM and I'm a people's choice as it has always been, then why should somebody come with money outside this party to fund an election? So we really need to go back to that reality. If the days of attracting senior citizens from corporate world, former PSCs, former headmasters are gone. You now have to get some riffraff person who has no sense of remorse, who doesn't fear anything as long as he's given money. Now goons. Goons also have become one of the campaign strategy. You have goons who have to go and do this. So we cannot say we are going for an election and people should look forward to it. So the issue of militarization, the issue of commercialization must be stopped. Now, political opposition is not adversary, is not enemies. But in Uganda, we have chosen, it is, and so there is no consensus. The country is so polarized. So at the end of the day, you really don't have so much to look forward. And that's how we are losing a lot of money, which should have gone to build institutions, which should have gone to services down to our regional governments. Money is now going, security has to get a lot of money during election because they have to act in some way. And a lot of money is pushed. A lot of money right now is being expended for people who want to go to remain in positions, as opposed to money being sent to the sick, money being sent for school fees. Government of Uganda can afford examination fees. I want to say this. Government of Uganda can afford examination fees for the whole country and give money for UNEP. But you will see money going to purely power retention project, those where there will be return in terms of votes. So, and that's why I want to go back to where we started from. Let us make sure, because we are discussing a New Year's message. Do we still want to remain with what? We are increasingly losing trust from the public. Our legitimacy is increasingly, and I'm not saying only NRM, political class. We are a scandal. We are no longer pro-poor. You saw the budget expenditures, 7 trillion, and I wish you heard of Rakai people who have zero budget for that anthrax. But we have expended the supplementaries for different things. So until we get pro-people, the taxpayers, you saw the bad roads around the Kampala and the greater Kampala, the ones who pay 80% of taxes, their roads are bad. So let us not just look at the governance in isolation. From the economy. We should look governance in the bigger context, that we must be relevant to the people, and we don't just say election. Yes, we can't deny the half term has gone. You saw the NUP changing their leaders, but electioneering has become too much. Uganda, you finish election in January, you start elections in March.
All right, we have
and
comments.
That's not good for the
We have comments coming in. Kandano Lawrence tuned in from Chileka says, I totally agree with the Lord Mayor and the economist over there, Honorable Mukitale. Our president has always repeated the same song every now and then without yielding results. In all this NRM confusion, it's the ordinary Ugandan life that continues to deteriorate. Honorable Kabbyanga is fighting very hard to connect the dots which do not connect. It's really getting harder to defend the NRM government mess. Let's be real, Honorable Kabbyanga. How can 1 million shilling make wonders? That's a listener there, Kandwanao from Chileka. Another comment, thanks Kenneth for the show. Please tell Honorable Lukwago to calm down, because as far as I'm concerned, the president is leading the country well. Let's wait. Let him establish his legacy. Just a matter of time. That is Anthony with that comment. Albert Wandera writes in and says, please, I'm a voter who voted for this Lord Mayor and very much disappointed in him. Every election cycle he keeps on complaining with the no track record of development to his voters. Please ask our mayor where he has even dug a pit latrine for community using his salary. He's good at politics of deceit and conmanship.
And you say you voted him?
That's Albert Wandera who voted for you.
Albert Wandera from State House.
Let's hear from Honorable Kabbyanga. Honorable Kabbyanga on the politics.
Very interesting.
On the politics.
Now I know how you win. Those who don't believe in you vote you.
If he's a voter, if he goes in State House, he vote, by the way.
First of all, I'm happy that the opposition fraternity is now forging some unity. Because for us as NRM, we would like to have a strong opposition which can bring alternative policies and which can check the excesses of government. So, Lord Mayor, I would like to urge you to continue bringing all this opposition fraternity together so that you can be stronger. As you are strong, we shall also be stronger to counter you, because we need also a strong opposition for us to have very strong policies to counter the opposition. Now, you know...
So that you are in the premiership, not the village.
Now, NRM is already planning now structures.
You're looking for 4.8 million leaders.
What opposition has never understood clearly is that elections is a quantitative function. So if you already have 4.8 million leaders in your structures, you know that is your starting point. Probably you may get 200,000 who will not vote because of sickness, others might
10%.
10%
maximum.
Exactly. But you will be having your 4 million voters starting point. And election is just a game of what? Of numbers. It is just quantitative. That's why, so it's not an issue of manipulation. You know, Lord Mayor Erias Lukwago has been beating us in Kampala three times now. 15 years he's here in Kampala. Don't think we don't want to get you out. We have struggled, but you have beaten us in strategy. I don't know whether you also manipulate voters, but you have beaten us. So we have also beaten you elsewhere in the countryside, because we have the best strategies and we have the best tactics. So it's not an issue of really manipulation of voters. It's an issue of going with the best strategies and tactics to win an election. And that's why you've beaten us. We don't want you here. We want an NRM person here.
Chikankane.
But you have failed to get you out.
The man has already crossed.
You have
Loop candidate is not coming. So
when he crosses to Loop, he will go. And those are all tactics. You see now FDC says,
so the Loop man is silent.
Let me cross to Loop. And then he beats us again. So all that, now that's what he calls manipulation. Not at all. Those are tactics. Strategy. To win to win an election. But so for us as NRM, we are also coming up with a lot of strategies, and we are going to beat you again in 2026. But we would like you to unite so that we beat you thoroughly well when you are what? When you are united, and then you don't complain at all.
Like Manchester United?
Yes, and then the issue of a free and fair elections. I think my brother, my fellow NRM has brought it right.
Mm.
There are some challenges in elections. For instance, commercialization of what? Of politics. It's there. And we cannot hide our head in the what? In the sand. It is there.
He said truth and reconciliation is necessary.
And it has to be fought. Then obviously the opposition is complaining about a level playing ground. Sometimes you see there are some few issues which need to be ironed out. And sometimes when they bring out issues, you can see that there is some point here, but they now sometimes exaggerate.
But that issue has persisted. For instance, you are free to organize, move around the country. We have seen somebody from the office of the chairman of the party holding rallies and things around. But when these people decide to get out there and reach out to the populace, you actually don't allow them.
No, sometimes they want to
That's
reach
a
out.
critical issue.
They want to reach out the populace, but probably they don't follow the rules. So let them start following the rules, and they will be around. My brother, Honorable Bobi Wine, was in Kasese, and he went through Kasese. He mobilized these people, and nobody stopped him. Nobody stopped him. He went through, and he can go through any other district like that. But there are some issues which need to be ironed out. I cannot sit here and say everything is what?
It's okay.
Is rosy. Not at all. Okay. I will be deceiving the population. There are some issues which need to be what? Addressed. So that everybody has a level playing ground. Because I know that we shall always win. Already we have 4.8 what? Kabbyanga, leaders. Kabbyanga. So we shall always win.
I'm looking
yes.
in the eye like this.
Straight in the eye.
Straight in the eye.
Now, that's the problem.
No, but
just a minute. When he talks about this, you feel like your heart is bleeding.
Why should it bleed?
But he's saying good
The
things.
dead bodies that you people jumped in a cases in your own backyard there. 2016, they shoot to kill policy. Honestly speaking.
Was it about elections?
Yes, 2016 it was about elections. The recent ones is all about governance.
Elections.
They are all about governance.
Elections were over.
So, are you trying now to rationalize and justify the massacres in Kasese?
Maybe he's bringing up the issue Hon Mukitale talked about, militarization of politics.
Let me also clarify.
Violence.
Let me also clarify.
Country is riddled with violence.
I have told you, Kenneth, that one day you should organize and we talk about the 2016 massacres.
In Kasese.
In Kasese.
Okay.
So that people can get the true perspective. Because me, I was there. I was a mayor. And I've been operating in Kasese for quite a long time.
Should there be a matter of debate or a matter of criminal action?
It's not a matter of debate.
Yes,
but the issue is...
Who has been prosecuted for those matters?
You know, there is a lot of misconception, a lot of lies.
Let me ask you,
has
anybody been brought to book?
But those massacres are not related to elections.
Okay.
Not at all.
So let me ask you, has anybody been brought to book before justice for committing atrocities?
I
really
don't want to go into
that. I mean those who perpetrated the murders, those who killed the innocent ones.
I really don't want to go into that now. Because there are so many issues. There are people who have even applied for amnesty. So, so why? So all those are things which
amnesty. Those who were killed, have they applied for amnesty? Those who were killed? Those who were killed.
Those who were arrested.
Those who were killed. Who killed them?
Those who were killed.
Who killed them?
Now, if you know those ones who killed them, go to court. Because that's what we have seen.
All right.
So
if you know those who killed them, go to court.
You see, the very person, like we are all hunting down those who killed our innocent children in Rubiriha. It's the same way we should get those culpable people who masterminded and executed those extrajudicial killings.
That's why I have told you that we need a day here and we discuss that issue. I will bring out my facts.
I will
also bring your facts. And the population will judge.
And I hope we
and probably we should be discussing
of national dialogue
and amnesty.
Exactly.
We'll do it.
But it is a long story, which people may not, which we can't start on now.
I hope you don't fall on the same.
All right, gentlemen, as we come towards the end of this show, let's try to sum up.
The Sobis, the who. I hope it does the same. You don't face the same fate.
No.
I hope.
I will not face it. because I'm a sober man.
All right, very quickly as we come to the end of the show.
But there was something which someone brought up. I think it was about how can 1 million shillings.
Yes.
How
can you expect 1 million shillings to make wonders?
You know, the population which is targeted, 1 million shillings can make wonders for them. The population which is targeted for that 1 million shillings, it is no. That's why I told you that I told you Kampala needs a what? A different program from the beginning. But the population which is under subsistence, targeted in the rural area, 1 million shillings, 1 million can make wonders for them. Because for them, if for instance you have 2 acres, you are going to plow, you are going to hire a tractor at 60,000 per acre.
All right.
You're getting, yes.
All right.
All
over your closing remarks. All over your closing remarks.
60,000.
Yes, for a tractor per acre, plowing it.
To plow how many acres?
1 acre. 60,000. Yeah. And if you have 2 acres, because these people don't have even a lot of land. Yes.
And after plowing,
then you buy the seeds.
With 1 million.
Yes, it will.
And weeding and what, harvesting,
marketing. You weed yourself.
Very quickly.
My closing remarks.
Your closing remarks.
First of all, I would like to thank you for this program. And I would like to say people should be optimistic about their country.
All right.
And I still believe PDM can do wonders. But let me also say one thing, that I would like to appeal to all Ugandans to give maximum hospitality to the people who are here now. We have the speakers here. We have people coming for NAM and G77 plus China. I would like to appeal to Road Mayor to ensure
the host community has been beaten up in much
as hospitable.
Let me tell you, the people who would ordinarily host those guests have been battered, beaten, and their property destroyed in all these areas in Machindi, around Munyonyo, wherever.
I want to say we can do better as a country. We are polarized because we have chosen to be so. We have allowed militarization policy by choice. We have commercialized by choice. The corruption by choice. We can reject this corruption. We can reject militarization. And can agree even to fight all this.
Spectrum Extra on Radio 1 FM 90. An extra hour of analysis and discussion on the topical issues of the week. Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
The views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of this radio station or its management.